by those fires that started on Sunday. 7:33 this morning, and so-called sweeps of homeless camps in our cities continue to be at the center of controversy. We're talking about when the camps are forced to close down and people living there, of course, have to move elsewhere.
And this morning, Brandy's here to give us a first-hand look at why some say these sweeps are necessary to deal with this growing crisis.
Yeah, and there's really two schools of thought here. There are some people who think just leave them where they are, don't push them all around the city, and try to serve them in place. Then there are other people who say, well, that doesn't work. If we leave them where they are, sometimes you get into a situation like the jungle, and that if we can offer them services before we go in there and sweep, and keep in mind, some of these camps, like the jungle, think about how dangerous it got there. And so that's one of the arguments for these sweeps, is some of these camps become incredibly unsafe, very unclean, not good living conditions. And, you know, well, we often show you the images of these sweeps on the news. We've got reporters out there. We cover them all the time. We really haven't done as much, I don't think, to show you what happens beforehand. For the last 9 months in Seattle, there's a team that's been working to get people out of these camps long before a sweep forces them out. These police officers are a familiar sight at this camp.
Seattle Police Outreach, anyone home?
And familiar faces to those who live here.
It's because there is like a really sense of community here.
The officers come here often, along with a group of social workers, offering outreach and trying to give those living here a path out if they want it.
This is not your first trip out here, correct?
No, it's not. And none of the individuals that we've contacted thus far are new to us.
Did you do this part here?
But on this day, at a camp tucked away at the crossroads of I-5 and I-90.
Hey, good morning, Seattle Police Outreach.
They have a more urgent mission than just outreach.
Nobody in here, though, with you?
The navigation team, as it's called, is looking for a baby girl.
Hey, bud. Hey, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we just, somebody had called CPS last night and said that there was a 3-month-old baby staying here.
It's not illegal to be homeless with a baby, but it's not the most ideal of conditions. So the safety of child and mother became paramount.
CPS had called and said that there was maybe a 3-month-old baby down here that should not be staying here, and the mom isn't able to care for her.
It's just a glimpse at the work this team does day in and day out, much of it hidden away, rarely seen by the public.
There's a good portion of the team's time is just like this, just going out, seeing what's going on.
But they are also part of perhaps the most controversial aspect of the city's approach to homelessness.
Stop the sweeps!
What are commonly referred to as sweeps.
We find this abhorrent.
God only knows where we're going to go next.
The city is sweeping them, breaking whatever community they have.
So-called sweeps have long been at the center of the debate over how to best deal with the homeless crisis. It's the act of clearing people out of a camp only for them to eventually end up elsewhere. In fact, the camp we toured with the navigation team has gotten bigger because people came from smaller camps after the city closed them down.
This place seems to have more people gravitating towards it.
Some see it as simply sweeping the problem from place to place without ever really addressing it. But navigation team member Jackie St. Louis sees the approach as both compassionate and necessary.
If we had our way, then everyone we engaged with would accept an alternative option, and we're working to create a system that does that. But allowing individuals to continue living in inhumane conditions is not something the city believes in.
And while images of sweeps are often on the news, what we see less often is this: what happens beforehand. The hours of outreach done to try to find those living outside help before they are forced to move somewhere else.
What we're doing is not sweeping people. You know, we're offering people alternatives, and that's the reason why the navigation team continues to grow and we continue to do what we're trying to do. Not to move people around, but to actually get people from living in hazardous conditions to living in alternative, safe, supportive environments.
We'll come back and just talk to you a little bit just about how things are going, but we want to canvass everyone about the kid first, and then we'll come back and talk. Okay, ma'am. It's good to see you.
The camp we toured with the navigation team isn't set to be swept for now, but the team wants to be proactive in case it ever is.
I don't know where this one kind of stands, but I know it's not on our calendar that we have right now.
Yeah.
So we just continue to come out and talk to people that are here.
So do as much outreach as you can before that day comes where maybe this camp needs to be.
Because odds are is that 35% of the time when we have contact with people is they do take up offers. We can help them maybe take a step in a different direction than they have.
So you get the sense there that while we might show you on the news the actual sweep that's happening, them taking people out of a camp, there are so many times that they come out there beforehand and say, let us get you out of here before a sweep happens. Let us offer you services. And a lot of the times, people don't accept those services. We'll get into the numbers in a moment, but first I just want to update you on that baby girl. About an hour after we left the navigation team, they did find her and her mother at another camp, and we're told that her mother did accept some help. She's dealing with some drug and substance abuse issues. So for now, CPS has the baby girl. The mother has been taken out of the shelter, the camp that she was in, and put into a more stable situation, so hopefully she can get her little girl back eventually. So let's take a look at how effective this navigation team has been. So they said they have contacted about 1,500 people since they started in February. A third accept housing services, a third accept some other form of services, a third refuse help altogether. But before the navigation team, only 3 to 5% were accepting housing services. So to go from 3 to 5% according to the city to then having 30% of people accept housing, that's